Testing. Oh, here we are. I was waiting for the national anthem. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Not a grandma yet, but I am reaching, close to geriatric. So here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Search for Truth, otherwise known as Travis's Train Wreck. I'm on day 16 here in my executive function, my part-time non-influencer function as a facilitator for Travis's show. He's had quite a long day today. As he's finding out, the path to superstardom never did run smoothly. So he's been in executive meetings, driving all day, creative discussions. But so he needs a few minutes to grab a chicken sandwich, maybe some taco hell, and clear his mind for the show tonight. So he has asked me to launch this operation and get the ball rolling. We had a guest scheduled who is going to be actually rescheduled for a future date, and I think he has more of the details on that, so I'll let him speak to it. But we, like any good operation, we always have a contingency plan. Things are a bit compartmentalized, and I don't have a direct line to the bat phone, but we are going to have everyone's favorite panelist come up. Drum roll, please. I think we know who I'm talking about. Just waiting for him to come in. And I apologize. I was bequeathed the launch codes for the restream. And, I'm trying to be responsible with them. But like I said, I'm nearing geriatric, my geriatric years. So I'm going to try to figure out all these thingamabobs and such. But we have Jeff, everybody's favorite panelist. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so honored we know of each other. We've never been on the same panel together, so I'm not sure if I got a promotion today or you got a demotion, but here we are.
Yeah, I don't get demoted, so you probably got a promotion. I'd ask for a pay raise.
Well, that's very generous. So we are, we're here to get the ball rolling tonight, and we're going to give Travis a little time to settle in. Do you want to say anything to the audience tonight? I think we have. I'm trying to get this. Boy, I am really trying not to have an epic failure here, but we have a video, and I want to make sure I actually play the right one. Travis sent me a few things today. We were going back and forth about SCOTUS, and
Right.
I want to get it queued up. So, Jeff,
Okay.
people have been asking about you all week. Do you want to say hello? Maybe give an update on any, intel or anything?
Watch the water.
There we go. Chad is going to go insane right now.
Yeah.
Because I want an explanation of that. But we're going to have time after we play this video. I know the audience would love to have you stick around if you have time. We're going to keep the panel kind of small, and we'll have more time to maybe just, I guess maybe discuss what's in the video. You might have some insight on that. I don't know. Or we can,
Clue.
Yeah, we can. Me either.
This is kind of scary.
It is a little bit scary, but like I said, this is Travis's show, and I'm just going to be thrilled if I can actually get the thing working. So
well, I can tell you, if it's a video of me on a submarine, we're going to have issues.
If it's a video of you on a submarine, we're going to get 7 million views tonight. So that's like the best case scenario.
Did you know what they say about submarines?
I'm afraid to ask.
They go deep.
Well, you're going to fit right in on the panel tonight. It's going to be an interesting conversation. So I promise, I know the people in the chat don't want me to talk over you, and they don't want to be distracted with other things. So if you promise to stick around after we play
Sure.
the video, it's only about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Hopefully we can get some other people to, uh, shoot some questions your way. And, Travis has asked me to use my big girl words,
Right.
my sweetest, most sweetheart disposition, and dulcet, calming tones to urge everybody to remain calm. So sit tight. If you identify as a useless eater or useless smoker or anything like that, get all your snicky snacks and your cigarettes and maybe your fireball ready. Settle in for a few minutes for the video. Grab your nearest uh, patriota, and snuggle up because it's cold outside. We're going to see what this video is all about and have a little chat with Jeff B afterwards. Sound good?
Yeah, it sounds like I'm about ready to get punked, but I'm game.
No, well, it's not my intention. No, no, you absolutely not. I'm much too professional for that kind of thing. I don't think Travis would do that. But you know, uh, I don't run things here. I'm just the help. So uh, I'm thrilled that you can stay, and nice meeting you officially.
Yep, same here.
Okay, so I think, oh boy, I think I have this. I think I figured it out. So wow, you can teach an old dog new tricks. So I am going to launch the video. Here we go.
What
Let's see. Okay. Let me figure out how to hit play.
So I'll mute my microphone so
I'm
I
going to mute
don't.
mine.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Oh, and I think Travis is in the house too, so he's going to help me out. And let's go ahead and execute the launch sequence. Oh, we're having trouble with it. Let's see.
There we go. Sorry, guys. I'll mute mine because we're not making fun of this video at all, and I'll tell you why we're not. I know, Jeff, you haven't seen this yet, but we're just going to let the video play and then we'll talk about it. Okay.
Very well.
Okay.
I'm just glad it's not the submarine.
No, it's not you on the submarine this time. Maybe
Woo!
next time. But
Привет.
this is
You
a tough.
fucking bitch.
You just said that. All right, here we go.
For now, everyone is entitled to their own beliefs, their own conclusions, and here's mine. So he made a notice last night that I got involved in a debate with somebody who kept presenting a bunch of hypotheticals and probabilities. Unlikely events that may happen and how they apply to the Rebel Republic. And I explained to him that it was my personal belief that he is Antifa, and here's why. Instead of him responding to my accusations, he was creating ridiculous hypotheticals and trying to apply them to my movement. And the only entity that he defended outside of his channel was mainstream media. Epoch News contends that 90% of all media companies are owned by these 6 companies. Now, this intel guy was not intelligent enough to know that Bill Gates and George Soros own the testing company that all of us participate in when we get tested. Now, he explained to us that he knows a lot more about China than me, but he doesn't have any idea how much money Bill Gates has given to mainstream media out of his pocket. Or maybe that's something he's trying to hush.
According to a phenomenal research project that was conducted by Mint Press News, they sifted through over 30,000 grant applications, and they found that the Gates Foundation has bankrolled hundreds of media outlets to the tune of at least $319 million. In fact, sorting through the money that was granted towards these media programs, here are some notable recipients. NPR got the most money of any outlet with over $24 million. And then The Guardian, which includes Guardian.org, they received the second most, which is almost $13 million. You'll find NBC Universal, which received $4.3 million, CNN, which received $3.6 million, the Texas Tribune, which received $2.3 million, The Atlantic, which received $1.4 million, Al Jazeera, which received $1 million, and so on and so forth.
So if you watched the live stream last night, you probably ask yourself, why the hell would a patriot be defending mainstream media? And why does this guy keep trying to create new debates and get away from the subject at hand? Specifically, when I'm sinking his theory. Well, here's why. And this is why I think he's Antifa. Once upon a time, a bunch of guys that were famous from the 2020 Summer of Blood showed up at a patriot rally. They presented themselves as patriots, but we soon found out that they were just there to steal focus from the event at hand. Using a diversionary tactic that goes back to the 60s, these guys successfully, with the help of mainstream media, smeared the names of patriots across the country. The final result of this action was a very clear political division between people, families, and friends. So how does that differ from what this gentleman does every day? His channel's dedicated to it. You never see him picking on CNN or MSNBC or any of the hundreds of black hat channels that are out there. And why would a patriot dedicate their channel to smearing other patriots? I can find no evidence of this guy doing any damage to the black hats. All I see is him repeating the formula that was used against a bunch of patriots who once upon a time stood up for their rights. Oh, and by the way, this guy was also in the Coast Guard and couldn't finish his 4-year commitment. I wonder if they're buddies.
Okay, there was a lot of people telling me we were echoing in there. Could you guys hear it?
Do you want to know the secret to making a great podcast?
There we go.
I could hear it. I mean, it was a little bit of echo, but I could hear it.
Okay, I don't know where it was coming from. I have literally nothing open. But anyway,
all I can say, I does anybody else need a cigarette?
I got a cigar.
I mean, I guess, anything goes. I mean, wow.
Woo! So, wait, that ending part, not with Barack dropping the mic. So, whoever this, I've heard, I know I've heard his voice before. I think maybe he was on Mike's Liberty Warrior.
Yeah, Red's his name, Red. Red stepped back.
Oh, gotcha. So they must go to a channel and then pick somebody out to try to divide and conquer. Awesome military tactic, only if you know what you're doing. But was there a reference to about 4 years and he couldn't complete it? The guy in the picture, is that must have been a reference to something?
Well, that's something I didn't know about 44 before. I had never heard that.
So, I didn't think 44 was in the military. So, was this red guy, was he in the military?
I don't believe so. So
he must have been referring to the other guy, Sage.
Well, maybe Will, our other panelist, hi, Will.
Good evening, y'all.
Maybe you could answer that question.
Well, Red is, as far as I know, has never been in the military, but he was approached by an MI6 spy and an MI5 spy at a little event that he was at, And in talking with him, he said as he left Red, "You're going to be approached by a gentleman that I'm friendly with. And since I'm a spy, they send him around to shadow me." And it ended up that the person that he talked to was General McInerney.
Okay.
You're talking about the person, Red, who made the video.
Well, the
correct?
person that Red made the video about, I think we know who it was. There was some issues with that person. I'm not going to call out any names because that's not the way I do business.
Oh no, I was just trying to figure out who served 4 years but couldn't finish. That was my question.
That was Sage. Sorry, I will
Oh,
say the name for that.
oh, ding dong, got it.
Because I thought, see, the video, just seeing it now, it seemed like they were suggesting that Obama was not able to complete, his service, but I didn't know that he was in the military at all.
Yeah. So he yeah, he must have been referring to Sage. Oh, I didn't. Maybe that's why the guy's so angry all the time.
Well, if you had seen the video of him with Sage, you'd understand why Red was a little, how should I say, had his blood pressure up.
Oh. That's interesting. That's, yeah, I do.
Well, Travis, do you want to speak to why you thought it was important to play this video? I mean, I see some obvious
Yes, I
issues
do.
of free speech and some conversations I think that need to be had about that, but maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, well, I would, because I think that Red made a perfect example of the situation. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not talking down on anybody. I'm not talking bad about anybody. All I'm saying is that if we, okay, Will and I had a lengthy conversation today. We're not going to agree on everything, but the things we do agree on, we can communicate, and eventually we'll build things that we're more likely to agree on. And we've got to stop tearing down the other side, or tearing down our own side. That's the only thing that I can see that's going to heal our own country. If maybe I'm wrong, Will and I talked about this quite a bit, and I are we wrong about this, Will?
No, we're not wrong. Here's the thing. If we spent as much time, anybody hear me yet?
Yeah, you're a little bit. We can still hear you. Yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay. Well, I don't need to see you guys, but hopefully you guys can see me. But anyhow, if we took and spent as much time taking and going after our enemy as we do infighting in between the different Telegram channels, YouTube channels, Odyssey, Rumble, Getter, whatever on social media. If we take that infighting and expend that energy to actually going after what we should be going after, which is getting our country back, getting the world back, and getting these evil people out of office, out of power, and making them atone.
Oh, we lost you right there. We lost Will.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around. Is the dude Antifa? I mean, that's one heck of a tactic.
Well, and I don't know. I'm just saying that
right.
Isn't this the same thing that Nancy Pelosi got on national TV and said is spew hate and
absolutely
make up things?
Absolutely. Because the way I view it is there's a way of, I like I said, I've said multiple times, you can have disagreements and different viewpoints, but you can, based on your experience, and just because you don't see things the way somebody else sees them, I guess doesn't constitute you being a grifter or a fraud or whatever. You just have a different viewpoint. So, but here's what I find very interesting. I think that they did one group together between him and Liberty Warrior, and after that, I mean, the kid was called everything but a white man, and now they are all these people that down this guy are now marching him around in the city streets on a chariot. I don't quite get that.
Yeah, I don't either. But I guess the whole moral to this and having this video shown tonight is to get people to come together and stop throwing rocks at people that are on the same side. There's a lot of people in my community that I don't agree with, but we have conversations. We don't have arguments. We talk about information and share information, and
Right.
Whatever it is whatever it is. I haven't been swayed on a lot of topics that some of the people that I've grown to know very well.
Right.
But we don't call each other names. We don't make fun of each other. We have a conversation. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. And if they're wrong, they're willing to admit they're wrong. The difference is that the inner fighting in our own communities is killing our own movement.
Well,
Trump started something very, very special, and it got people on board. And I don't want to tarnish that.
right. Well, the way I view things are, you have to be, I mean, my personal opinion is you're an American first, everything else is secondary.
Exactly.
And, I've said this since I started this craziness, this journey, that if things do not work out like I think they're going to work out, our country died on January 20th. Now, do I think that's the route we're going? No, and that's my personal opinion. But to have anybody, I mean, you can have your opinions, but when you go out and you attack people that you don't even know, look, I just put those individuals to the side. I don't even have a conversation with them. I don't need to have a conversation because you don't affect my daily life whatsoever. And I just move along, because at the end of the day, anything that you do or anything that I do, anything that you say or I say, at the end of the day really doesn't mean anything. We're put down a path for whatever reason, that we're put down that path. And if I'm part of this, I've even been accused of stolen valor, and people had the proof. Well, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting, because individuals had it, I'm sure it would have been out there. So, I mean,
Right.
it's
Can I just make a comment?
sure.
There's a lot of concern. The rhetoric coming out of the current administration in the White House
Right.
is dangerous, I think, in terms of, well, I mean, obviously they want to suppress speech, they want to suppress dissent. We all know what happened in January of
Right.
last year, and it's very much on people's minds. And I think conservatives and people who challenge the mainstream, the legacy media narratives and certain narratives coming out of the White House have a reason to be very nervous, because they're targeting you. I mean, we know that censorship on social media is very real, but it's more than that. I mean, we have people who have been held in federal prison for nearly a year and are being denied due process. I don't want to, I won't get into the weeds of that situation, but everyone's on edge,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
the liberal smear job is it's a very common tactic, right? Where they sort of, it's guilt by association. So if you spoke to so and so, and that person happens to have a particular view that's unpopular, or the left is sort of hyper focusing on and targeting, that makes you, just by having that conversation, that somehow you're implicated. We see that happen all the time in the media, and that's how they, we talk about getting involved locally or running for office, or in your state or whatever. That's how they keep people out, because people are afraid of that. They have families, they have livelihoods, and they don't want to be targeted in that way. And it happens all the time. So, I think, I don't know, I don't know exactly what to take away from that video, other than in just sort of a general way. We have to be, and I don't have really not, I'm speaking very generally, okay? We have to not do that to each other. So I'm on the panel with Jeff, and I've never spoken to you before. I don't have a I don't have your number. We've never interacted before today. But someone will now, because we were on the panel today, you know, they make all kinds of associations. Let's just put it that way. Or let's say we have someone on here who has an unpopular view, and maybe another show doesn't like it, or there's a fight brewing somewhere else. If you get on a panel and you have a discussion with somebody, with anybody, someone is going to pick it up and say, well, you took their side, or you're this or you're that, just because you had a conversation. That's just as dangerous. That's just as dangerous as what the left does to conservatives. Does that make sense?
Yeah, both sides do it to each other.
We do it to each other. And I don't know, so the whole history of that video, but
yeah, I don't know.
I suspect that's in part maybe what is some of the subtext there, and people noticing that. I mean, I noticed that I'm on Telegram, and people spend half their day critiquing who went on what show, and who had who as a guest. And we have important things going on, like the SCOTUS ruling. We had a ton of people. We did a very short video, and people were hungry for information, for discussion about that. It seems to me like that's a better use of our time. It always is. But it's very hard when you put yourself out there and you join a channel, or you launch a channel, or you take that step. It's like you take that leap and you put yourself out there. You always run the risk of being attacked by people, who are on your side really and who you agree with. And it seems to me that that's kind of where that is coming from. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I just, like I said, if I'm watching something on TV and I don't like it, I just turn the shit off. Uh,
Right.
I find something else. But I mean, to each their own. Whether you know, it's for profit gain, I have no clue. I mean, all I can say is, we don't get this one right. The American people don't get this one right. We're up the river with no paddle. There's definitely no doubt about that. And the only upper hand I have is I can speak Russian and Chinese.
Travis, do you have anything to add? I mean, I, I think, I think there's a larger conversation to be had about free speech and all. There are many ways that we censor each other, and I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm political correctness. I mean, if you have a child who is college age and they come home, they're gonna. I have had my own kids have told me, "Mom, you need to stay off that topic," or you can't talk about this, or they try to micromanage you. So censorship is real, and it happens in many different ways. And I think it's just intensifying right now. And I don't.
Damn, where's that
Someone
now?
in chat is saying I'm being rude. I don't. I'm trying to, figure this out, and I don't.
Well, probably because you're panel with me, you probably have a big target on your back.
Right. Well, so that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm a big girl, and I'm able to, you know, be on a panel with someone. Maybe I've never expressed an opinion one way or another about any of the stuff that you talk about. And I don't, I don't have to. And and again, that move, it's that intellectual move that if we are on a panel together trying to talk about anything, that you're going to be, it's like 3, 2, 1, boom, and I'll be lambasted or at risk of that somewhere
Right.
in the chat. Someone has something to say, and I don't think, when I talk about free speech, I don't think I'm saying anything controversial. You know.
Well, no, free speech works both ways. And, you look at society today, just look at, with our news media. Uh, you know, when have you ever thought, and I don't know what your background is, but when would you have ever thought that a president of the United States, sitting or former, would ever be censored? If the Republicans, conservatives, however you want to group them, would have done that to Clinton, Obama, the heads would have rolled. Well, one, you wouldn't have had the cooperation uh, with the media, but they censored a president of the United States. And it amazes me, and always has, when the coin is flipped, coin is reversed, all of a sudden it's a crisis, and when the other side is censored, uh, it's a mutiny. But it's okay to do it to one side. I'm not in. Look, I serve this country honorably for everybody's right to be able to express their opinion, whether I like it or not. Uh, but I don't agree with when you really don't know the person, or you have never even met them, face to face that you just because you don't like them. Like I said, this goes back to my TV analogy. If I don't like it, I turn it off. I don't watch it. That's how I view things.
Well, no matter what I think of things you say on certain channels, I think it's probably safe to assume that we both love this country. We both have, I think, good intentions, and as far as wanting freedom. And so, maybe it's just me, but I'm able to kind of let things roll and pick and choose. For myself, critical thinking, looking at things and taking what's valuable and what's good in these kind of conversations, and leaving the rest. Uh, I don't know. It's become a real thorny issue, and I think it's become um, more important to talk about because of the kind of things we're seeing with the the January 6th commission and these calls for talk about domestic terrorism. So these terms get thrown around a lot, and it's very dangerous because it has a chilling effect on speech. If you are worried that things that a few years ago we just talk freely about certain topics, and it wasn't so heated, and so potentially when you talk about people being rounded up, or because they have been somehow associated with a group, whether or not they've had anything to do with it, just because maybe they 6 degrees of separation, they were on a panel with somebody who was there, you know what I mean. um it's getting dicey, and I think we have to have more speech, not less,
Right.
in order to fix it.
We need dialogue.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, I'm always interested in the quietest person in the room, or the person who uh, who's been kind of bullied and silenced, because I think sometimes we have the most to learn from that person, or the person who's been most ridiculed, because they probably have something to say, and there's a reason why they've been silenced. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's where the learning is.
Right.
Somebody who's loud and has I think of some of the like mainstream people who have huge audiences and huge platforms, and a big, I don't want to say bully pulpit, but they have a lot of influence. I don't think that's where sometimes where the real meat and potatoes is. It's on the
Right.
margins.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's life's too short. Definitely life is too short, and what what I believe is about ready to unfold. It's going to. I don't know if it's going to be better or worse or what, but I think we're in for me. I think it's going to be a fun ride.
A
But
long ride.
yeah, well, it's been a long ride. I mean, this has been going on since the '60s. Uh, but I mean, everybody has their own theories, and that's what they are. They're theories, uh, just based on experiences and what you've done and what you've done for your country. Um, but
Good always overcomes evil.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, and I guess the whole moral to my story tonight is let's get together and talk about the things that we do agree with, and then let's create the dialogue and then we can figure out what our common ground is. Because I'm like Red. I think that tearing down our own communities is a terrible thing. You know what? I'm not doing what Red's doing. I'm not doing what Liberty Warrior's doing. I am doing what I want to do, and I want to get involved locally and help people. That's what I want to do. I want to help people on a local level, and I want to help my community. I get involved. I know my sheriff. I talk to my sheriff. I know my people, no matter where I go, because I think it's important for us to do. But I think as long as we're throwing rocks at each other, that nothing's ever going to be productive. We're dividing by hating on each other, guys. That's the whole moral to my story.
Right.
That's it. That's all the harm that can come from that. That's it. If we can't talk about the things that we agree on, then we're never going to create the dialogue. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And there's some people, and not just on this topic, on any topic, they don't want to have a dialogue. They don't want to. I've been wrong about stuff. There is no doubt. And I always say, unless you're in the room when it happens, you don't know. Everything is secondhand. But, in our current situation, all you have to do is look at the surroundings. Everything does not add up. You can make anything fit. You could take a square peg and put it in a circle. Right. And it's all based on how you view your conclusion. But some of the stuff that's being shown and that's being presented lets you know that there is something bigger happening. And if anybody can come up here with a straight face on any platform and say nothing is going on, they're full of shit, or they're just dumber than a box of rocks. Because I mean, just in the last 4 days, and I know I've shared some of that with you, Travis.
Yes.
There is pictures that I've taken that are not altered. That's not my forte. That makes no sense. 0 sense. And everybody is looking for answers. And it's my opinion that the American people haven't demanded answers. And until the American people demand answers, they're not going to get any. Now, do I think something bigger is going on? Absolutely. The warning signs are there. There is 100% no doubt, just by the conversations that I have with people that I've known for 30 years and worked with for 20 years, that have not been wrong yet. It may have taken some time. They may have hinted in the direction, and I looked at something and, didn't see what they were trying to point out to me. But it's there. It's definitely there. And we can agree to disagree on any points, but to shout each other down or, call somebody whatever because you don't agree with their viewpoint, I don't have time for that. I won't even have a conversation with you. That's just me. It's probably wrong, but hell, there was only one person I know that didn't do anything wrong, and they tacked him to a cross, and that's a lot of wood they're going to have to tack me to.
Well, listen, brother.
It's Greg, by the way.
Yeah, my name's Greg. Like, we can't always think we're right. Believe me, I'm as right as you can get. We can't think that we're right all the time, and we can't think that the left is right all the time. We have to come to terms, and I know that's hard right now because the left is so freaking weird and they ain't even funny.
Well,
But
and Greg, I don't view it as leftist though. I don't view it as leftist. I view it as people who are American citizens who have sold this country out. And I've said this as well. If 45, if anybody within his circle has misled people, then they need to be tried for treason.
why do you think that 45 misled people? I don't understand.
No, Greg, once again, you are not listening to my words. You're listening to what you want to hear. I said, if, that's the key, if Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has told the American people and the world, we have it all. We caught them all. If they cannot produce this, if this is all a farce, try their asses for treason.
Okay, I don't want to argue, but there's people who actually believe that Donald Trump is running the country right now. And I think that's ridiculous.
That's what he's talking about. Some of that stuff right there.
Now, here's what I believe, Greg. Do I think he's running the country? Absolutely not. I've said this and I've been ridiculed for this. I have said sometime between November 6th and January 20th, I believe, it's my opinion, based on what I have seen and what I can evolve from what I've seen.
Well, what did you see? What did you see that makes you believe that?
Well, there's so much that you don't know that Jeffrey's going through too.
If what I have seen over the last year points me in the direction that sometime between the 6th and the 20th at noon,
I'll just use yours.
Donald John Trump made a recommendation to his cabinet and to the military that in some shape, form, or fashion, that continuity of government was put into place. Now, that's my belief. Just by...
Okay, I just wanted to agree to disagree. Okay.
Well,
I don't want to fight with you or anything.
Well, no, there's no fight. Where do you disagree with that statement?
What's that?
Where do you disagree with that statement?
Because the Democrats hate Trump so much that they would never allow him to be in any kind of power.
Greg, the President of the United States, as viewed by Congress, as viewed by the court systems, is Joseph Robinette Biden. Donald Trump, as of right now, has zero power. Now, if you let me finish, I'm going to explain the rest of my thought. Do I think that the military views Donald John Trump as their commander in chief? Yes. And why I say that goes back to Trump's initial statement. We caught them all. If that statement is true, then the military and the intelligence agencies would have done an assessment and would have then, once they made that assessment, they would have made a determination whether the country was under attack.
I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you 100% because Biden isn't capable of being the commander in chief.
Well, where do you delineate that from?
What's that?
Where do you delineate that from? Where do you draw a parallel that he is unable to perform the duties of commander in chief?
Brother, just look at him.
No. Look, Greg, I'm not disputing it with you, but what I am saying is I only go by what I can see because I'm not in the room when the decisions are being formulated. Now, do I believe that that is Joe Biden? Absolutely not. I do not believe. And until they prove otherwise that it is him, I don't believe it's him just by looking at pictures. There are certain
I just think that the Democrats hate Trump so much that they would never let him in any kind of power.
Greg, it's not just the Democrats that hate him. The Republicans hate him.
Agreed. He's not part of the system.
No.
And I think he had a genuine heart to try to help heal this country.
Right. And, you know,
or were we fooled?
He's got a big mouth.
Do you think that was by design, though?
I don't know for sure, buddy. I don't know.
See, you have to. To me, I go back and I look at the big picture because, trust me, in the beginning, I wasn't a supporter by any stretch of the imagination. I thought the whole thing was a spoof, and he was going to come out with some new television show or something. And as we got down to it, I knew, well, it was my opinion something wasn't right. And
can you deny the fact that he changed America? I mean, he done good.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. With what he was up against, there's no doubt about it. Just think, and this goes back to the point of all this infighting. Just think what could have been done if all three sides of idiots would have sat down in a room and put what was best for the country and the American people.
But they hated each other too much.
We don't know that, Greg. Some of that could have all been optics. we weren't in the room when conversations were being held. Look,
I'll buy that.
look, think of it like this. You have to go back and you have to remember what Biden had said. And all the Democrats, not all of them, I shouldn't group them in because I just scolded you for doing it. There were certain members of politics that stated if Donald Trump comes up with a vacation, I will not take it. All of a sudden, January 20th, 2021, all of a sudden it became okay, and now we're going to force it down your neck. It's all optics.
All right, I'm going to ask this. If Donald Trump is the bad guy, like some of you are alluding to, why did he straighten this country out to where we're paying less for gas, and less inflation, less unemployment than at any other time in the last 30 years?
Pipeline. Don't forget the pipeline.
Yep.
Right.
Well,
And I'm in the oil and gas industry, and I didn't mind it because our rates were half what they used to be. They were consistent. You knew what you could make. Period. That was the end of the story.
And Chi was afraid of him. And the North Korean guy was afraid of him.
Did you guys see the symbolism when Putin passed what they would call a football, which we would call a soccer ball, to Trump? That was a sign of respect. Did you see that the Saudis honored him in the highest honor with the sword? I can't think of the name of it. Where they took and did the dance of the sword and everything and presented him with that. If that wasn't a sign of respect, I don't know what was. You don't see that with Biden or any of this administration that we have now. Every one of them is thought of as a clown overseas. That's why that Putin is pushing the envelope as hard as he can to try to wake America up. I do believe that Putin actually wants to see America survive and become strong again. Because who else would he have to rely on if the CCP decided to turn on him? Does that make sense to you guys?
Absolutely.
well,
Now, let me throw one other thing out there, guys. With all the respect that Donald Trump garnered from overseas, doesn't he deserve the respect from us, the American people, to stand behind him through these trying times while he is trying to prove what the cabal, the swamp, whatever you want to call it, the dirty politicians, whatever. Don't you think we ought to
That's why
stand
they
behind
hate
him and let him do the best he can? Because I still firmly believe the military is in charge. And I have some sources that tell me that I'm right. Now, I'm not going to divulge them because I don't want them getting their asses in trouble.
I believe you. And that's why they hate Trump so bad. I mean, he got along with Chi. He got along with whatever that North Korean guy's name is.
Yep.
Kim or whatever.
Yep.
He
Kim
got
Jong-un.
along with Putin. Like those guys were afraid of him.
Exactly. He had the Iranians quivering in their boots too.
Well, I shared this with Travis a couple days ago.
And now we got this frail man who should be in a retirement home. He can't even put a whole sentence together.
Let me ask you this, Greg. Do you think that's by design?
I don't think it's by design. I don't.
Well, my wife worked with dementia patients for years, and
I
I'll tell
have
you right
to
now,
for 15.
she is saying that he is showing the signs of advanced dementia.
For 15 years, I worked in a retirement home. I know all about dementia.
Yep.
Okay. So, getting back to my point. So no one thinks that's by design what they see right now with him. See, now when I see that, I see it that this is all by design based on my theory.
I'm not
Because
trying to fight with you, buddy, but what do you mean by design?
Greg, do you honestly believe that that is Joe Biden?
Joe Biden.
Let's just say the jury's out on that. My opinion is there's too many. How do I want to say it? Glitches in the matrix on him. When you see green screen, when you see a fake White House or what appears to be a fake White
I
House,
know.
and when you see the Marines at Marine One supposedly taking off, why aren't they using the new Marine One that's fit for flying instead of an old one? Also, has anybody ever seen the nuclear football with anybody in Biden's group? The real nuclear football, not the fake one that you've been seeing.
So let me approach this, and I had said this to David because he's always talking about the Marine One, and that very well could be true, but I don't know that to be fact. Okay, what I do know to be fact, based on what everybody views as fact, is what they see on TV. Okay, and I can show multiple pictures that I've taken off of your regular mainstream media. And I've sent these pictures to guys that I worked with that think I'm a fucking loon. And there are guys that I worked with that think, wow, all right, how is it that one day Joe Biden's facial features look one way, and on the very next day, you have a detached earlobe and an attached earlobe?
And how come one time he has a tattoo on his shoulder and no hair, and another time he has no tattoo and lots of hair on his shoulders?
Oh, he drove a tractor and trailer, a jet.
But where I'm trying to lead you guys down.
But listen, for real, during the he was in the basement the whole time.
Who?
Like Biden.
Were you in the basement with him?
I was not in the basement with him.
So you don't know that. I don't know that. We're only regurgitating what the TV has told you. This is the point I'm trying to get to. Greg, you said you're ready for this to be over. I don't think you are. Because if what I think is going to happen is going to happen, the American people aren't ready for what's going to happen.
Now, wait a minute. What did I say? Was ready to be over?
Yes.
You said you're ready for all this to be over.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get back to one thing. You guys were talking about Red earlier. You were also talking about working together and everything else. One of the things that I have preached since I became into this, and that was several years ago, is if everybody could just put aside their petty differences, not worry about whether we got a flat earth, leave it a globe for a little while longer, not worry about all the other stuff. Let's go after the main thing. We are losing our fucking rights. We're losing control of our nation, and we are damn sure the laughing stock of the fucking world. Excuse my damn language. But damn it, if we quit all this damn infighting and address those major issues right here, right now, today, we could all make a difference. Every channel out there, I don't give a damn what platform it's on. I could be on Timbuktu platform. I don't care. But if we all work together and quit the damn infighting, we can accomplish getting our country back, our rights back, and make this the Republic of the United States of fucking America again.
You know what, brother? But we keep talking about it, but what are we going to do about it?
Well, that's what we're trying to do here, is because we
All
have
right.
to recognize there's a problem first. And the problem is not, it's even coming from our own communities, and the things we agree on, we're not talking about.
All right, let's do this. One, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, Red's idea of going after the news agencies through the FCC makes sense if you think about it. If they're not reporting real news or taking and putting skewed news out, why not call them out on it? Make them toe the line and everything else. Now, whether the FCC does anything or else or not about it, these stations will be notified of it, and they have to have an investigation, and therefore it's going to take and it's going to make them toe the mark until that investigation is over. And if you find them skewing it again, do it again. Keep it up till we get mainstream media on over-the-air TV where it is taking and telling the damn truth.
Why don't we
bring the
get
facts?
one step further than that, though?
Well, I got a couple other things. One, let's take, if every person would expend the energy instead of backbiting each other, if they would take and start writing every elected official from your city, school boards, state, and federal, and let our voices be heard instead of sitting here on your ass, not doing anything. That has power.
The number one thing we
The pen
got
is
to do.
mightier than the damn sword, guys.
The number one thing we got
voices.
to do is vote. We got to vote.
I say that.
Yes, that is another issue. Vote these sons of whatever out.
You can say that here.
Well, here's the problem I have with this, with the whole ballot gig. If we are to believe that 2020 was stolen, who's not going to say that 22 and 24 isn't going to be stolen if we go with that theory?
All right. I have an answer. First of all, we need to take it back in our states and our local areas. Make sure that everyone in our state knows we are not going to stand for this. We want election laws in our states and our counties and our cities that protect we the people. We don't want this BS of mail-in ballots. We don't want these machines.
No.
We want paper ballots back and honest people counting them. And there better be coverage of that by oath keepers that stand behind the oath that they took. And I'm talking about military, police officers, judges, stuff like that, that took the oath to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States of America. If we start locally and work our way up the chain, they'll have no choice but to give us a fair and honest election.
I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that I will add to your comment there, Will, is we have to turn out. We have to talk our people into doing it. We have to talk them into getting out, getting involved. You know, Greg and I are working on a local level. We want to help people that are struggling right now. We've been granted a gift, and we want to try to move our stuff and really do some good in the community. And we all have a place in our fight. We just have to find our niche.
Amen.
And we definitely need.
So what are you guys going to do if
I know what I'm doing?
No.
I know what I'm doing. I'm writing. I'm calling. I'm emailing. I'm taking and researching back through everything I can find about our Constitution, about the laws, and everything else. I have another friend that she's an admin in a room that I'm in too. She does a lot of the legal stuff going through the courts, the Supreme Court cases, all that stuff. It tries to make heads or tails of it. We need to get that information out to the public so they can understand it, so they know what these people are doing to us. We also need to take and everybody, every single American that cares about this country needs to get off their butts and start doing the phone calls, the emailing, the letter writing. It doesn't take that long, guys.
And we need ID.
If I got to show ID for beer,
we need ID for voting.
I agree.
Now,
I agree.
If I can finish my thought.
Go right ahead.
What are you going to do when you walk into a polling place in 2022 and when you go to that polling place and there's a machine sitting there?
I'm going to tell them straight up. I don't trust these machines. I'm going to make a stink about it and demand a paper ballot.
Same here.
You have the right to do that.
And that is what people need to be stating.
Brother, in 2020, I got 3 mail-in votes and an absentee ballot
mailed to you.
Mailed to me. I've never had that happen before.
I had 2 mailed to me and 3 mailed to she's my ex-wife, but she had 3 mailed to her. We did not vote that way. We went straight to our polling station, filled out a paper ballot. It was put into the box and everything else after they checked our IDs here in the state of Kansas. And if you'll look, yes, some of the liberal counties did try to pull some shenanigans here, but 98% of our state voted on paper and voted correctly, and also took and made sure that everything was above board. We had
what state is that, buddy?
Kansas.
Okay, I live in Pennsylvania, so And we
So-
still got 3 mail-in ballots and
A piece.
a piece. Yeah.
So,
And an absentee ballot.
so when you got those ballots, what did you do with them?
I threw them the fuck out, and I went and voted on in person.
So why didn't you take that to your board of elections and demand answers on why you received 3 ballots?
Because I didn't realize that that was an option.
Well,
See, we're a purple state, you know.
This this is where I'm getting to with I do not think the American people are ready for what possibly in my mind is going to happen.
well, here's what I did with mine. I went to the state board of elections in Topeka, Kansas, with this stuff, and I told them straight up, I did not ask for this. This was sent to me basically like a spam mail. I said, if I wanted one, you guys would have been contacted. I'd like to know why I got these and where they came from. And the person in charge, I happen to know, he looked at me and says, Will, I don't know how that happened. But he says, I'm going to investigate it.
So what else would we like to talk about?
Well, I would like to see something said about the SCOTUS deal today and see if anybody has got any insight into that. Do you realize that actually comes out as 2 parts, not one?
Yes, I believe the executive producer has been reading on that all day.
I have a lot to say. Hold on. I have a lot to say about it, but I don't want to monopolize the conversation when I chime in.
Go ahead, Darla.
But the chat doesn't like me girl-splaining anything, so
I can
you know,
I
defer
can
to the
sum up
panelists.
this I can sum up the SCOTUS decision with one word. And that's the only one anybody needs to understand. Presses.
Yes.
Well, the decision, just briefly, we're going to talk more about this. I hope maybe tomorrow night if I'm invited back, but you know, the decision, the wording of the decision is indicating that when the case goes for a decision on the merits, it's pretty clear that they're leaning, that they're signaling that it is going to be found unconstitutional. And that precedent is going to be very important. A lot of people are saying, well, what if my state decides to institute its own mandates? It's going to be difficult for states to institute unconstitutional mandates. So depending how that final ruling on the merit comes out and how it's worded, any effort, in a blue state such as mine, to kind of revive the issue or kind of get around it, is going to be DOA, in my opinion. And that's where the reading the opinion itself is so important. It's not just whether or not they reinstituted the stay, but one of the reasons they reinstituted it was because they came right out and said the people finally asking for the stay are likely to prevail on the merits. So there you have it. So I'm agreeing with you, Jeff. Just giving my 2 cents. Sorry, I should let you. Everybody wants Jeff to speak, so I'll mute.
And Jeff, I got the utmost respect for you. I don't know if you know I'm a member of your room. And I'm the one that contacted you about Red.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never, like I said, there's so many hours in the day, and that was dropped to me, and I was, yeah. I guess that'll be a topic for 6 months down the road if I'm proven right.
Yeah, I know how
Um,
that is. I've been down so many rabbit holes that I'm beginning to think I'm part rabbit.
well, yeah, I try not. I mean, it's human instinct to go down rabbit holes, but just here's another anomaly that to me doesn't make sense. And I shared this image with Travis and a couple other people. So Fox News was doing an interview in front of the White House. And I believe his name is Ducey. And when I was watching, I was like, man, there's something with this kid's face that doesn't make any sense. It looked too glossy, too over makeup. I didn't know what it was. Travis, tell your audience what was in that picture live on TV.
Concrete barriers.
No.
You're talking about the train station? Sorry, I get so much stuff. Yeah, train station.
There was a damn train beside the White House on live TV.
Yep, I saw that.
And when I see that, I think that's somebody who I believe National Command Authority, the military, somebody putting that in your face to try to show people, and the ones that don't get it, the ones that don't see it, if this all evolves like I think it's going to unravel, it's going to be used and it'll be narrated. Say, hey, do you remember when you seen this on Fox News? If you didn't, we're going to play you the clip. Why in the hell is there a train next to the White House live on TV?
Because it wasn't the White House.
You understand that. I understand that. But I guarantee you 60% being generous. 60% of the people never seen that. If you would show that same video footage without somebody force feeding the information to you, they would never see it.
Yep, I agree.
And that's the problem that we're in.
It is a problem. People need to open their eyes and look at everything. They need to keep their heads on a swivel, and they need to wake up and realize that we're being fed a line of BS.
I think by all ways.
What's good, Brandon?
Yeah, I think we're getting it from all ends.
I think you might be correct. There's a few things that I'm, how do I say, hesitant on saying at this time till I can vet them further. But there's some things that are not making sense. Take for an example, your people in the room, DEF CON and RAN and CG and them, been watching the air traffic. That alone sends up a lot of red flags, what we're seeing.
Yes. Yeah. And yes. And I can look at it the other way too. I can look at it as pilots getting their hours in. I can look at it as training exit. I can look at it a lot of things. But when you take 1, 2, 3, 4 oddball things, something is amiss.
Amen.
And when I watch foreign news broadcast, and I love listening to Rusia 24, Utah Euro, and anytime that they even mention this guy, it's almost like they're laughing.
Well, he is the biggest laughing stock in the world right now.
But it's like the world sees it, but the American people do not.
Agreed.
And the reason they do not see it is because it has not knocked on their front door yet. When it knocks on their front door, then it becomes a problem. Until then, it's something that they can put in the back and not worry about it.
Well,
Because
it's knocking on their front door right now. Rampant inflation. Look at the price of food, the price of gas, the price of repairs. I'm to be honest with you, I'm a plumber by trade. I used to work law enforcement and a bunch of other stuff, but I'm a plumber by trade. My cost for repair parts has gone up 80% in the last 6 months. But you tell me it ain't knocking on their door. They're just not realizing it.
Right. Well, I mean, I can tell you right now that products that I have purchased, my company has purchased 3 months ago, in the products that we have purchased are in the process of purchasing, we have seen a 23% increase just in the exchange rate. The exchange rate.
Yep.
I'm not eating that cost. It has to be passed down to the customer, or I'm a dumb businessman and I'm out of business.
Amen. And, think about this, Lo. When we had our own manufacturing here in the United States and weren't dependent upon China and other countries, we didn't have shortages. One time we had a shortage was in World War II when we geared up to fight a world war.
Yep.
And that's understandable. If we went back to proudly made and sold in the USA like Sam Walton originally had a Walmart set up to be, this country would be in a lot better shape.
Well, I can tell you this, and I've said this several times. If the generation today was in 1942, we'd all be speaking German right now.
Amen. And you can blame that on your liberal teachers from the preschool level all the way up through college, trade schools, everything else.
I don't blame the teachers. I blame the parents.
Yeah, because they haven't got involved.
Because they let it happen.
I agree with you on that. But once they realized it was starting to happen, they end up getting labeled as domestic terrorists by this particular administration. What happened to the real domestic terrorists that were burning cities and destroying businesses, hurting people, and everything else? They're still walking the street while we've got people in jail now that were swept up in what I believe to be a psyop to make Trump look bad. I really don't believe that those people had any intentions of going in there. And when you look at one of the videos that I have, and I'll send it to Tori to send to you, about Ashley Babbitt getting shot, that sure looks like fake blood. It looked like she had a blood pump in her hand, and it looked like she was taking and biting down on blood capsules.
Well, I can tell you, it's my personal belief there is not one person that from J6 that's locked up.
Okay, where are they then?
Exactly. But I don't think they're in the Bureau of Prisons because, and here, look, you mean to tell me that every civil rights attorney in this country, there is not one person that would be going to a federal judge and screaming due process, that would be screaming bring forth the accusers.
They should be.
I'm no legal mind by any stretch of the imagination, but that would be the first. Why is it that when these representatives went to the Bureau of Prisons to meet with these people, they were denied access? Most of these people are attorneys who sit in Congress. I don't think they're there. I don't think they're ever were there. And the reason why is because when I watched the whole damn video, I seen certain things that led me to believe, and holy shit, Newsweek actually did an article on it a year later on how the Pentagon possibly inserted special forces into the J6 crowd. Now,
well,
why?
Did you notice the backpack that they had?
Well, yeah, I had said that months ago. Yep. And a lot of people don't realize what was the significance of those backpacks and what was on those backpacks unless you dealt with it.
Amen.
But when you bring that kind of stuff out that you can visually see, it's not made up, it's not propaganda, then you're a conspiracy theorist.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm an alternative analyst. That's my way of saying it. Because I do look at things from every angle.
But at some point, we have to be a realist. If we're going to find truth, we have to look at both sides without prejudice.
Well, amen. Yeah, I agree with you, but do I think that's 100% possible? Absolutely not. I don't think the human psyche is, wired that way. Because, I mean, everybody has prejudice. There's no doubt about anybody that says they don't, they're lying. And they're being dishonest with themselves.
You know what I always said, Jeff? I don't hate anybody. I hate everybody, and I hate them equally. That way there, I don't get called a racist. But, no, getting back to it, in all seriousness, there is enough evidence out there on film that every American should be screaming at the top of their lungs, writing, calling, emailing, and saying, what the Sam hell is going on here? And this farce of this Jan 6 committee that's going on in the Congress right now is nothing but a clown show.
Yeah, well, I believe that's all theater anyways.
I do too. Seems like you and I are thinking along the same lines.
Well, here's the other thing that people should really ask themselves. Why is it that from day one, when Trump went through the White House, members of Congress, media analysts, everybody was saying, boy, this damn Donald, especially over North Korea, he needed to have a cognitive test done. Cognitive test. Get the White House doctor. Has that been brought up one time in this administration when and it's amazing to me how the previous administration can come out and say certain things that we're seeing unveil before our very eyes. Because, some of the stuff Trump come out and everybody's like, man, this guy is just gaslighting. Or in YouTube terms, he's just a grifter.
Yep.
But
Or
boy,
shit.
right, but boy, he told him, if I don't win this election, your gas prices are going up. They're going to shut down pipelines. And lo and behold, what the hell happened?
Exactly what he said.
So either the guy's Nostradamus in the military or whoever's Nostradamus, or they wrote the playbook. Because you're not going, because if you were able to get that right, I want to take you to Las Vegas.
Well, what do you think of this de-evolution?
You mean devolution?
Yeah, devolution, however you want to pronounce it.
I
I'm a country boy. We say de-evolution.
Well, I think that's continuity of government. And I was telling Travis earlier that there was a gentleman that came into one of our stores who I'd known for quite a few years, and he had moved out of the state, and he had moved to Colorado. And his buddy had a sanitation business, pumping the sands, as we would say in the Navy, the bilge. Okay. And they had one contract and one contract only. And that one contract was NORAD.
Yep.
And they would pump out the sands at NORAD. 2 days before the Big E, they were contacted that their contract was canceled. But the U.S. government was going to pay the contract in full. Okay? So that right there, that's a red flag.
Yes, it is.
The owner of the sanitation had asked the Pentagon, Department of Defense, why is the contract getting canceled? And they said it was national security reasons. 2 days before the election, she got sealed up tighter than a drum.
Yep.
The U.S. Army is now pumping the bilge. And it is still happening to this date. And anybody who has been in the military, and I can only speak to shipyards, the government loves doing contracts because the politicians love getting their buddies jobs. So why would the government take that over and lock Alice up quicker than dog and not reopen it if we are not in a continuity of government state?
Let me ask you this. Have you heard anything about certain blue and white planes flying into that area, and that a certain orange-haired person came off of that blue and white plane in the last few months?
Well, I've heard it, but here's where I get hung up on this. I'm not there to personally see it. Okay. Now, with that being said, we know that when that tail number flies, it flies under NA01, NA1, whatever.
Yep.
Now, if you put those reports together, along with supposed sighting, whatever, the military would not give that designator to that individual person because, according to the Constitution, that position doesn't exist for him.
That's right. Why is supposedly Biden on what would be normally considered Air Force One, and 99% of the time it's not listed as Air Force One on the ADSB boards or Spyglass.
Correct. So it's not getting the proper designation. And to me, now there's nothing written down in law or whatever that they have to apply by that. But if I was the pilot and I didn't do that designation, I would see that as a sign of disrespect. And I would hear about that from my chain of command from the top down. And I would probably no longer be that pilot.
Amen.
So
well, I have a little insight. I have somebody out in that area that is highly trusted, that I know very, 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 very well. I won't go into names or details, but I will gladly tell Tori and have her tell you. But
come on, tell us her name.
It's him. But I'm not going to say who, because I don't want to see them up on treason charges. Let's just say he had eyes on the T-Man out there.
Very well could be. And look, it is my belief that anything is possible. That it's my belief. No one else's. I'm not force feeding anybody. Here's the problem that I struggle with. We go to war. Okay. Mm-hmm. We went to war in Afghanistan. Well, we went to war in Iraq first, I guess you could say. Maybe not. Okay. There were no timelines ever put down. Who would have thunk that we would be in Afghanistan 20 years later?
Well, we should have learned from the Russians on that one.
Well, see, I'm of the belief that those were political wars, because if you allow the military to do their job unadulterated, gloves off, fight to win, it's over with. There is
another perfect example of that, Vietnam.
Exactly.
You can shoot at this guy, but you can't shoot at that guy. Yes, right. I'm from that era.
So I have a lot of theories. I have a lot of how I think this ends. And I've shared it in private conversations with, Travis, and Travis is skeptical, and he should be. Everybody should be skeptical.
Yep.
But when I start pointing things out to Travis, he does sit back and scratch his head. It's like, holy shit. I never would have, and he'll tell you, I never would have picked up on that.
No, exactly. But we have a conversation about it, though, don't we?
Exactly.
That's how we help it.
And you, I mean, when you and I first met, it wasn't under the greatest circumstances, right?
No, it wasn't.
And now you've invited me to your place, and and I told you, David, anybody, you can come on, because I like people based on people. But when you attack and do all that nonsense, I have no need for it. There's no need for me to get involved with that, because it's not doing me any good.
Right.
No,
just pissing me off.
None of us any good. It's doing none of us any good.
Right.
And that's our whole point. Will. Excellent point.
Okay. So I just got to, because the chat's going crazy over there. What is it that the chat wants to know?
I don't know.
Either do I. I must have said something that they want to know what my belief is.
Okay, well,
Well,
the first question
know
I see in
Tori-
I
this,
think I know.
Okay, hit us, executive producer.
Well, I was because I've been watching the chat because I've been told, I don't let you talk, so I've just been hanging back. And although this is the longest I've heard you talk uninterrupted on any panel that I can think of, but maybe that's just me. So you said that the American people, I think this is what they're getting at. You said that if the American people are not prepared for what you think is coming, and so they want to know what that is, what's coming.
Well, what I believe is coming is if my theory is correct, everybody. I have said Donald Trump will not last another 3 months. The American people are finicky. Okay.
Yep.
I believe the J6 speech that he was going to give, he never was going to give it. I think that was all a pump fake. If January 15th happens, I think you may hear, and it's just my opinion, my fellow Americans, the storm is upon us. I think that is the key, the trigger that everything's a go. And that may be the 15th, may be the last time you see or hear from Donald John Trump until somebody within the National Command Authority, it's going to have to be a 3-star, 4-star. I don't even know if they have a 5-star in the Pentagon right now.
I don't think they do.
Now, who do I think it's going to be? I think it's going to be General Berger. And I think General Berger is going to come out. And this is just a theory. I don't want it misconstrued and being replayed and all this, but hey, that's their freedom of speech.
Yep.
I believe he's going to come out and he is going to inform not only the American people, but the world. First things first, do not anybody on this planet, whether you believe it's a sphere or flat, attempt any aggressive action towards this country.
Amen.
Because we will annihilate you. You get one warning and one warning only. And then after that's made, and the only reason I believe it's going to be General Berger, because the Marines have balls and they don't care. They are, hoorah all the way. And I believe he's going to come out and say that the National Command Authority, the U.S. military, along with partners and alliances, have foiled an operation to overthrow the United States government in the country itself. And the military, along with its partners, have neutralized the threat. And over the next several weeks, it ain't going to be days, it's going to be weeks, the U.S. military is going to present undisputable evidence of this. It will not come from any politician. It's going, look, I was never people misconstrue it. I knew what this whole Q thing was. I never followed it. And there's reasons that maybe I hopefully can expand on based on some of the stuff that I did when I worked in the intelligence group. But people can debunk it, whatever. I don't rely on that. But what I do rely on is the men and women in uniform. I don't care what political spectrum you're on. If you're in the military, you swear an oath to that damn Constitution and to your country. End of discussion, full stop.
Isn't that what I said earlier about the oath keepers? And I'm referring to the military, law enforcement, judges. I happen to agree with you 100% on that. And that was the same, how should I say, rabbit hole I was going down with it.
And here they've always said there was going to be a gut punch, right?
Yep.
That's your gut punch.
Yep. And I know you don't follow Q, and I don't really follow him, but I happened to see a drop the other day. And it said what you said about our fellow Americans, or my fellow Americans.
Yes.
The storm is upon us.
Right.
So,
now, here's another weird anomaly. The North Koreans fire a missile, supposedly, towards California or the west coast of the United States.
mm-hmm.
The FAA orders a ground stop based on national security.
Yep.
Okay. Now, if North Korea is going to fire a missile at the United States, it'd have to be an ICBM capable because of the distance. I'm no weapons expert in missiles, but that would be my understanding.
You are correct.
Okay. So, why would you do a forced national security ground stop of all aviation on the West Coast for that purpose? Because if you allow that ICBM to get that close, they're doomed anyways. Okay?
Agreed.
If it's a NORAD drill to see how quick they get compliance and be able to land all those planes, could that be part of a martial, or I don't want to say a full martial law, but could that instance be part of a martial law scenario where all ground traffic, all air traffic is grounded except for military aircraft?
I'd say you're right on target there.
Okay, so this is how I put the piece together with that nonsensical grounding of planes. And if a military, we'll call him General Berger, if General Berger comes out and says we are in a revised state of martial law, no planes are flying, the military has the skies, wouldn't that be a hell of a cover story that North Korea launched a missile to? Because if they launched a missile towards the United States, don't you think it? Oh, but wait, we have a shitload of sea-bearing vessels in the region of the South China Sea.
Yep.
Pearl Harbor, I was told 2 days ago from somebody that's at Pearl that they started moving boats out of the harbor into the drink.
Yep.
The last time they did that is when they caught a sub off the coastline. And it was a non-stop P3 fest.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the grounding happens. Me personally, I think the Pearl Harbor was a test run for the skippers of the boats to see how quick their reaction time would be to get their people ready and get those boats out of the harbor.
I think you're dead on that one. Another thing too, some of the guys were talking about the B-52s up there. Now we know that they do have training flights and stuff like that. But what if that was a scramble to see how quick they could get 2 or 3 B-52s up in the air with a moment's notice?
Right, because look, I don't care what anybody says. There are the mullahs in Iran. I mean, there are countries, there is no doubt, that will want to try to take advantage of the situation. I mean, and it's just, like I said, it's just my personal opinion. People can call me a crackpot all they want. When you start putting these pieces of the puzzle in this timeline of events together, you can formulate a picture.
I agree. And I have something to say about the commercial shipping out there.
You can move over so you can lay down.
And I don't know if you agree with me, Jeff, or not, but this is kind of an alternative analyst in me again. Why are they hanging all those ships out there? We know good and well that they're capable to handle that amount of ships in there and get them unloaded in a timely fashion and shipped. Could it be that they are worried about the products coming in being contaminated, either with radiation or poison or something like that?
Well, I mean, this is just a theory.
Yep, it is.
Anything is possible, but if you know what you're about ready to do, don't you think that your enemy would also be calculating that as well?
Exactly. That's why I think that stuff is being held out there at this time, because they don't trust it.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be. I mean, it could. At this point in time, with everything that's happened over the last 4 or 5 years, if we were to rewind the clock in 10 years ago, and we'd be having conversation scenarios of stuff that we can prove look, if I were to tell you 10 years ago that they were going to steal an election and there was going to be total and utter chaos in the United States, and they were going to usher people in to force, the vacation cards, because remember, voter ID is racist.
Yep.
But where are all the civil liberties groups at, bouncing up and down, yelling and screaming that vaccine cards aren't racist? I haven't seen one yet.
Exactly.
I haven't seen Maxine Waters out there in the National Black Congress coming out and saying, whoa, 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 whoa.
Why isn't the NAACP screaming at the top of their lungs?
Exactly. See, all of this, when you put all of this and you discuss all of this, you then realize something is amiss. Here's the other thing, and look, I try not to watch this administration. Before this administration, I was a political news junkie. Okay?
Me too.
I followed it. I followed world politics. I followed every movement. To me, it just intrigued me. Why in the hell? And I've asked Travis this, and Travis says, I have no explanation. If the President of the United States is going to give a speech to the American people, the most powerful man on the planet, why would you not, on multiple occasions, the most popular person ever placed into that building, why would you not give those speeches from the most powerful office in the world, behind the most recognizable desk in the world? But instead, and I know people have said, oh, they've done this before. Why do you do it from a stage set? And the media said, no, that wasn't a set. And then when the press office got pressed on it, they admitted to it. Why? What are you hiding that you have to lie about?
Well, I'm going to put another thing out there. Go into Washington, D.C.
It's a ghost town.
It's a freaking ghost town.
Look, well, I don't know because I was called a crackpot for this. I was told I was full of shit for this. I told people on numerous channels that the Federal Bureau of Investigations in Washington, D.C., not the field office, but headquarters. And see, when people say, no, yeah, dumbasses, you have to realize those are two separate entities.
Mm-hmm.
The headquarters of the FBI in Washington, D.C. is empty. There is it is at a very minimal staffing. And I got that firsthand. And I was given breadcrumbs to lead me towards a direction. And I was told I was a crackpot. Oh, no, you're full of shit. Here he is again, grifting. And then, lo and behold, after they had to guide me a little bit more, they said, why don't you just go look at the website? Websites are very informative. And lo and behold, it's in Huntsville, Alabama. But where was the congressional oversight? Where was the congressional approval? Where was the funding stream authorized by Congress to do a national security move like that? It was never done. Never done in the public. Why aren't the constituents out there saying, hey, when did this happen? Because you don't hear anybody talking about it. The news would be all over that because it happened under DJT. You know damn well they wanted to bash him on that.
Of course.
Unless somebody had told them, if you say anything about this, you're being tried for treason. You are going to go a long time. And guess what? Somebody threatens you with fucking treason and sedition and the death penalty. You're not saying shit.
You're going to listen. That's for damn sure.
And then after I was able to show the proof, oh, we knew that. They knew that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Well, answer me this. How many federal agencies have you seen that's moved to Florida, also to Texas? And that's just two that I know of.
Oh, that's a whole subject we could talk about on another show because I believe Jeff got called a liar on that and
Oh,
banned.
yeah. Oh, I was an outright liar.
Well, Jeff, you and I apparently have got some of the same type of people. I won't say the same people, but the same
Right.
type of people feeding us.
And
And
it's by design. It's
yeah,
by design. And if anybody, look, I had a top secret SCI with a shitload of caveats.
yep,
I know when you're given stuff and they want something to be put out. Trust
yep.
me, I'm sure there's 2 or 3 people watching right now who I worked with to make sure I don't screw up.
I
Okay.
agree.
And
I agree.
people can say it's bullshit, whatever they want. That's fair game. But I was,
Excuse my wife.
I was told I was a straight out liar and I was misleading people. And look, I have a buddy that is pretty high up in one of the agencies who was ordered, not asked, was ordered to go to a particular place in Tampa, Florida, to pack his family up and go to Tampa. Now, anybody in the military knows what's significant about Tampa, Florida.
Yep.
Why would this individual be told to go to Tampa when 3 days before the election he was ordered out of Washington, D.C. with no reason given? Just pack your shit and get out.
Yep.
We will let you know what your next move is.
Exactly. And you know, there is so many, how do I say, people that love to talk that can't, and you know that.
Yes.
And they do throw us, as you said, breadcrumbs. And it's up to us to try to get some semblance of the truth out to these people. And yes, we're going to be called liars, shills, grifters, whatever.
Right.
I don't have a channel. I have no dog in this fight with channels or anything else.
Right.
I got into this for the pure reason that I gave a shit.
Right.
And having worked law enforcement and security and other things that I've done, I've made a lot of friends in certain places that I don't want to name, but I sure you can figure it out. And here lately, some of my best breadcrumb givers have gone radio silent.
Yes.
That's a big, big red.
Yes. There has only been one person in the last 2 weeks that has been steady as she goes. Only one. All the rest of them have died up.
Yep.
And I know what that's telling me. Now, here's another thing, and I'll call it what the fuck news. I don't know if anybody's seen it yet, but is anybody seen where the Queen of England has just stripped Prince Andrew of all royalty?
I saw that today, and I was going, wow.
And you know
But
what that, I'm guessing, stems from?
I know exactly what it stems
Maxwell.
from. Yep. That little black book.
And I've told Travis, and I said it's going to be a long road. But I said, here's the scenario. This is what I think is going to happen. It's going to be drip, 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 fire hose.
Yep.
And I think we're on the last drip. And I think we're getting ready to suck a fire hose.
Yep. I think we're going to be at least blowing out a 6-inch line, if not a 10.
Right.
And once that happens, I think that EBS is going to happen, that everybody talks about. And I also think that we are going to see that statement that you and I both talked about from possibly a former president.
I think that's going to come first. I think if what we believe is going to happen, I think that statement's going to be made, and then shortly thereafter, there's going to have to be something that's going to grab the attention of every American and everybody in the world. Because, like I said, you're going to have, and I'm guessing it's going to be a bald-headed Marine on every device that you can think of saying, today is not the day to test the United States. Full stop.
And I don't know how to phrase this. I'm going to have to think about this for just a second. But basically, Trump said something about when the arrests come, you're going to be surprised at who's first. Now, they were trying to say Trump done a lot of things wrong. For optics, what if the first person that gets arrested is Trump, and he goes through it to prove himself clean?
No, because it'll take too long.
Okay.
Who do I think the first one's going to be?
Yeah.
The one who has so much heat on him right now.
There's several.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look, I think today, well, I actually think they knew, and I could be wrong, but when you go back 3 weeks and you look at some of the reporting that was going on around SCOTUS 3 weeks ago, I believe that that's when the oral arguments were being held for today's decision. I don't think that happened Friday. I could be wrong, but something, like I said, if we are in a continuity of government state, why would you possibly have a known process go on live? Now, granted, it was audio. Supreme Court's always audio. To my understanding, every decision I've ever seen or any argument's always been audio. I don't believe there's video.
No.
And I could be wrong. But what if that was already done 2, 3, 4 weeks ago? The decision was already, the dissent or whatever was already presented, and they pushed it 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, now that is out of the way, now if they slap the cuffs on the big doctor, everybody in the world knows who this guy is. This guy loved the TV. This guy ate it up. That would shock the world.
Well, they just had hearings. I mean, he and the CDC director and I think the NIH person, they were all, I think, in front of a Senate committee, or there was a hearing early in the week. So it all
Right.
kind of came together. I mean, timing wise, they didn't have to have that hearing this week.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And who's to say that that particular congressional hearing hadn't happened 4, 5, 6 weeks ago? Because there is not somebody in that room holding up a newspaper with that day's date on it.
Right.
Well, and they
You
certainly
know,
have been having like a lot. It seems like a lot of these congressional hearings, rapid fire. It's one
right?
after the other. I don't, I am also a junkie, and I also, I used to love watching all the congressional hearings on C-SPAN and watching that, but I don't recall ever having so many of them on so many different topics in such rapid succession. It is
Congress,
unusual.
yeah, Congress has never done anything at this rapid speed.
Agreed.
And if you think about it, think about how long the fencing was up around the Capitol. Was, and for the longest time, I was like, man, that fencing doesn't look like to keep people out. It looks like to keep people in. And could they have been, in theory, filming all of this shit under the guise of national security, then presenting that when the military is ready, not when DJT is ready, when the U.S. military states the objective, commander in chief, is achieved, we recommend we do the following steps, not stating whether Donald Trump has any say and say, yes, General, move forward. No, General. They're probably just letting him know if our theory is correct. Because according to the Constitution, he has zero power. But they can consult him.
Yep.
And I assume, Jeff, I mean, this question came up in the chat too, about the deployment of the National Guard in all the states that we've been reading about.
Right.
I assume that's no coincidence either, in your opinion?
Well, I'm not an expert on the National Guard, but if the National Command Authority is preparing for a partial martial law, wouldn't you want to deploy troops into certain areas that you possibly know there would be problems? Because it may not be people outside this country. It's going to be people inside this country who are not going to agree with it, who never agree with anything, who love to disagree.
Well, I mean, the explanation they're giving for the deployment of the National Guard in various states is that to help with COVID response, help with hospitals. But in reality, on the ground, when you go to the hospital, I'm not seeing that. They're not at any of these testing sites or helping distribute the N95 masks or any of that. So, it would seem, there's a discrepancy between the reason they're giving and what they're actually doing. I mean, they're actually asking nurses to come back to the hospitals. Well, I thought the National Guard was supposed to be handling it. So I found that kind of strange.
Well, and here's the thing too. Don't you think that for 1 second that if the National Guard was out there helping prevent COVID, the mainstream media would be out there filming it, explaining to the American people how this is still a pandemic and you need to listen to Dr. Fauci and you need to do your civic duty to go get the jab.
Amen.
And I would also expect, photo ops, on the news.
Oh,
Here are the
absolutely.
troops handing out the masks, and
Absolutely.
I'm not seeing that.
No, I mean, you would have reporters photobombing if that was the case,
Exactly.
but you're not seeing it. So
Okay.
that tells me that there is something else going on. And here, and Kathy H just said, "Hey, there are troops moving overseas." That happens all the time, but it's really weird that it's all happening at the same time.
Exactly. This is a worldwide operation. This cancer runs deep throughout the whole freaking world.
Now, if we're here in a year and a half, a year, and we're still talking about this, I'll probably have myself committed because I seen everything all wrong. But I don't believe
Save me a room right beside you, Jeff.
shit. We can have a train wreck Travis wing, a damn Liberty Warrior wing. Look, we can even put up windows so all the naysayers can come in and make fun of us.
Yep.
Well, Jeff,
Well, one of the things I'm going to say is, you know that plumbing is an essential trade, correct?
Yeah.
I've been inside of nursing homes that had COVID active. I've been within 6 feet of a patient with COVID. I have a compromised immune system. I'm on Humalog and other stuff, and got diabetes and things like that. If this virus is so deadly, why haven't I been sick? Why haven't I died from this? Why is it that Bayer is saying that the jabbed are the ones getting sick?
Well, okay, I want to add to that conversation a little bit, Will, because I've actually had it 3 times. I've not been to a doctor to be tested, but my cousin is a trauma nurse, and he has the test. And all 3 times I've tested positive. I was sick for 2 days, and not everybody got it. So and another thing that Joy and I were talking about today, if it's such an emergency, why are they saying, okay, in 2 weeks we're going to shut this down? Why aren't they doing it now? Because they know they don't have the narrative's not there, and they know that they're destroying our own economy little at a time.
And here's the thing too that people have to remember. If we are in such a pandemic, why did the US government, CDC, whoever, give a pass to every postal worker?
But
those individuals come in contact with every person in this country at one phase or another. Now, here's the other thing. I know somebody who tested positive. They work in the healthcare industry. They called them, you tested positive, stay home for 5 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Not 14, 5.
5 days.
Yep.
Then they told them that you're not going to have to be tested now for 4 months.
Exactly.
Hold on. Wait. We had a new variant every 6 seconds. So why is it? But the herd immunity was invalid, correct?
Correct.
But now you don't have to get tested for 4 months? If you had it, I would think you'd want to get tested more. But especially if you're in the healthcare field and you are coming in contact with people who possibly have immune system issues. Come in contact with the elderly.
Yep.
But 5 days is going to cover it now?
Well, why are they saying that the tests are faulty and are only based on a computer generated model and not on a real virus?
Hey, can I ask you guys something?
Go for it.
Well, I let my pulmonary doctor talk me in to get the vax. So I got both vax, and February 23rd, I get the booster. And I'm kind of scared about that.
I wouldn't take it.
Well, we can't give medical advice, so I would talk to my healthcare professional and see
I was
what's
just
best.
giving my opinion. I personally wouldn't take it.
There you go. That's what we have to do. We have to say our opinions, but because we can't give medical. I'm not a medical doctor.
No,
Just-
neither am I.
It's just
Our primary care physician won't give us one.
Yeah, our primary care won't even give us the COVID shot.
It's just bouncing off my head now. I mean, I have pulmonary problems, and he's the one that talked me into getting the vaccines. And now he wants me to get the booster. And believe me.
Well, I can tell you this, Craig. You have personal freedom and free will. Do what you think is right. Don't rely on anybody to tell you anything. It's your day. Remember, Greg, it's my body, my choice.
Amen.
Oh, I know. Believe me, it bounced off my head for a whole year. And then he told me,
I would let it bounce harder and longer.
Amen.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, I'm going to jump off here. It was a joy talking to you, and I'm glad, Travis, that you got a new employee. That's outstanding.
Thank
Jeff,
you.
I'm really,
Joy brings
I'm really
a lot
glad
to
that
the
we
table.
got to. I'm glad we got to talk. I hope you. I think this is the most epic Jeff B. show ever. Epic.
I'm sure that this will definitely make a highlight reel somewhere.
Well, that's going to happen no matter what. But I'm hoping. I would love it if you would check in with us after the rally, and we can do a postmortem on it. And see what
we hear that phrase.
Yeah, well, maybe that's probably the wrong phrase, but I'm sure our audience would absolutely love to hear from you afterward. At some point, we'll work it out with Travis, and we'll give you the floor. I think this is the longest I've ever heard you speak uninterrupted, and the chat is blowing up. So thank you very much.
Yep. All right, guys. Have a good evening.
Jeff.
Thanks for doing, Jeff. Let's put some more efforts into joining our communities back together, because I think it's important right now.
Absolutely.
Amen. Jeff, before you take off, I want to say it was a pleasure talking with you. I know you don't know me from Adam, but I have had the utmost respect for you. That's one of the reasons why I'm also in your room, besides several others that I'm an admin in.
Gotcha. Well, it was nice putting a face to a name.
You're welcome, sir. And I'll drop Tori my information for you if you ever want to have a chat.
All right. Watch the water.
Amen.
Right on.
Well, gentlemen, I got to say, I think this was probably one of the most productive chats I've been involved in a long time. And I want to thank you, Travis, for allowing me to participate in this.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming. And Saturday will be a cool day, I think. And we'll stick on topic, and we'll stick to
Well,
what we start the show with, because I think it's an important thing for even people that disagree on the same side to get on the same side, and let's start helping our neighbors, loving our neighbors, and build our communities back together.
amen. And I do believe Jeff was on board with that the way he was speaking there.
Yeah, Jeff's a good guy. People that hate on him. That's their business, not mine.
Well,
Jeff gets involved community wise, and he's a really really good guy. His heart's in the right place. He and I talked about when we locked horns a little bit, and he did. I think he did. I think he stepped up and did what the what was due, and the rest of it will just leave lay.
yep.
We gotta help each other right now. I want to be involved. I want to be involved locally to help people in our local communities. And Joy and I are working on some stuff that's going to be really cool. We actually have a website that we sell dichloric glass. All that money goes to charity, all of it.
Well, I don't have any websites or anything else, but if you want to talk to me, get on Telegram, either get in Jeff's group or get in Red's Intel Think Tank if you can, Qualls Community Patriots, and then DM me. I'll be glad to discuss my opinions with anybody.
Okay.
It was nice meeting you guys.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm going to drop the link. Is Guardian still in here? She's going to come up and pray us out, or if somebody wants to come pray us out, that'd be great. I'm not very good at words. I'll do it, but
I'll take the prayer. I have no problems with that.
Will, that'd be awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Heavenly Father, we come together this evening in the spirit of friendship and fellowship in your name. And we do this because we care about our brothers, our sisters, and the people all around us that we all admire and love. We ask that you reach out, touch the weak and make them strong, that we touch the sick and make them well, that you touch and make the crippled uncrippled. We ask you this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. And I want to pray. I want to pray a little deeper. I don't know whether Lori sees in chat, but she's going through a lot of trouble right now. So Lord, you know what her needs are. Please reach out to the family. It's the family-wide crisis that they need help with, Lord. They're going through some serious struggles. Please cover them in the blood of Jesus and help them in any way you can. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Thank you, Will, for coming in. Red, I don't know whether you're still here or not, but I look forward to joining forces with you, because I think that we have to start a movement. We have to keep the movement going. We as conservatives have got to stick together.
I was going to say, he let the cat out of the bag tonight on one of his channels. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. Y'all, my name is Will Justice. I'm an admin for Red Step Stacker, normally known as Red's Intel Cafe, Egg Face, Rebel Republic, and Repulsive Republican. Those are some of his channels. And me and Travis have worked together and with Red, and we've got Red coming on this Saturday night to discuss various plans and things that Red sees going on, and we would like to invite you to join us here and to take and give Red and the Red Step Stacker family a warm welcome when he comes. Thank you.
That's right. And when Red gets here, we can have all the hearts in the world for Red, because I think Red's a rock star, just like Pray and Spray says. Red is a rock star.
I think Red and Jeff both deserve all the hearts they can get, because those guys are fantastic.
And so let's put her together. If I hurt any channel's feelings, I didn't mean to. Sage, I apologize, because I seen a couple times you wanted me to drop the link, but I wanted to get my message across. And I think that interrupting that would have been the wrong thing to do. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But that's how I saw it. If I'm wrong, I was just wrong. I'll admit I'm wrong.
And Sage, I'd like to say to you myself personally, I have nothing against you or any other channel out there. But like we were saying, we need to quit the infighting, and we need to take and start acting as one united front to take and get our nation and our world back and get rid of this corruption and evil out of our nations and worlds.
100% with you there, brother. 100% with you. Let's talk about the things we can agree on, and we'll build these relationships from there.
Amen.
Because we're not all going to agree on everything. Jeff and I talk about things that we don't agree on, but we can have a conversation. Kathy H and I can talk about things we don't agree on, but we don't sit there and belittle each other. We have a conversation.
It's like the old days. And I was telling you about that earlier with my dad in World War II and the injuries he had. Back in the old days, Democrats and Republicans worked together for the benefit of the nation and for we the people. They have forgotten who they work for and why they are there. And it's time that we remind them, wake them up, and make them realize they are replaceable. They're not
right.
God.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
And Joe, I want to thank you for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, executive. I thought you did a fantastic job. Your intellect is above mine, and I thought you did very
I really didn't have. I didn't have to do much tonight. The guests took care of it, but I thought it was a good discussion. And more to come, I think.
And
right.
I did want to say one more thing to everybody that was listening. I am sorry I slipped with a few words that weren't exactly politically correct and shouldn't have been said on the air, but I was a little bit, how should I say, fired up.
That's okay.
We all have our moments.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, thank you guys. God bless.
Thank you. Had a great time, and I'm looking forward to Saturday, and I cannot wait till tomorrow, because we're going to tear this thing to dissect it into little bitty pieces. Joy's going to.
We're going to talk about SCOTUS. We're going to talk about the COVID narrative falling apart, and we'll take callers, and we're going to get in the weeds with that. So,
Joy, if you want me in on that, I will be glad to come, and I'll bone up on all the intel that I can find on it and share it.
You're always welcome.
Absolutely. I'll send you a link every night if you want to come in, Will. I appreciate that. Tomorrow we'll open things back up a little bit. Tomorrow we'll open things up a little bit. David, I dropped the link, but I thought I didn't want to interrupt our conversation. I apologize. Nothing personal.
No one can ever tell us that we don't let Jeff talk.
Amen.
Right.
Not after tonight.
And I hope nobody thought that I was stepping on Jeff. I was agreeing with him on a lot of points. Him and I seem to be on the same page on scenarios and thoughts, and it was refreshing.
Yes.
Mine,
All right.
I
Well, I
might
hope
not
I hope we
show, but
didn't I hope we didn't disrespect Red with some rabbit holes, because I've seen a comment or two he said that he made in there. Those things. Okay, I'll be straight up clear. Clicks and likes are everything in this business to a point.
Yep.
But you know what? I want my channel to grow, and I will entertain things that I don't believe and have conversations about it.
Well, knowing what I know about Red, I mean, just I don't not as much as you guys, obviously, but I think he would agree that even we have to have all conversations, even the ones that maybe we don't want or we don't enjoy. That it's all we have to allow all of it, and we have to be open to that. So so someone goes down a rabbit hole. Um, you know, we don't have to go down every rabbit hole we're invited to. We can pick and choose. We're adults, and we can think for ourselves. That's the whole point. So, you know,
Exactly.
I don't think he um we're saying different things. I think he was right
Well,
on board too.
I can speak from experience with Red. He went down a few rabbit holes himself, so he knows what it's like.
Yeah, we all,
Well,
it's entertaining
but if you're
sometimes.
right, but if your audience don't want to talk about the Supreme Court, then they're not going to show up. If they want to talk about rabbit holes, they will show up, and then you can try to introduce a little bit of reality to them, and we can talk about those things.
Exactly.
That's what's going to make a difference. Let's build each other up. Uh, Thank you, Jeff B, for coming in. I really appreciate it. Mike, thank you for all the help today and all the phone calls. And wow, we had 5 or 6 conference calls today that I think everybody's on the same side, and we want to make a difference.
Yep. Well, the whole
Well,
thing
good
of
night,
it.
guys. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I'm going to drop out, but
Good night, Joy.
well
You
done.
have to end it. You can't drop out. You're running the stuff. You got to turn on the music.
Oh shoot, I forgot about that. Oof.
Well, I'll drop on out of here, guys, so we can finish this out. Again, thank you for having me, and it was my pleasure to be here.
Thank
Good
you
night,
very
sir.
much for coming. All
Bye
right.
now.
Just click that thing down there and it'll go. Ready?
Okay, ready? All right, terminate in 3, 2, 1.
Tomorrow's fine for shaking the tables. Tonight, I'm eating my lasers. You won't try fruits of my labor. I heard them like completely misbehaving. So sweet to taste, nothing but flavor. Yeah, I enjoy the fruits of my labor. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Enjoy.
Love your neighbor, know your neighbor, help your neighbor. That's how we make a difference. Build communities back together. Love y'all.